Shalom. All right, let's take a look. Make sure the notification has come through on my end. Just bear with me. Let me see, make sure that's coming in nicely. Make sure that's coming in nicely. All right. Looks to me like that's coming in pretty clear. And I just got to check my other backup channel, so I can't bear with me 1 second. All right, looks like that's coming up pretty good. All right. So, Shalom, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai. Call Halayim Li Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakah HaKodash. And double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who do well. Peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect, the tabernacle of David, beginning with the 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children out of the 12 tribes from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai will ultimately have mercy upon in these last days. All right. I'm your brother Matazabath from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And right now it is officially 9:48 p.m. Sunday evening, which is the Shabbat for us, and also the beginning of the Feast of Booth, or Festival of Booths, or better known as the Feast of Tabernacles. All right. So to the Akim back in the States, all right, it'll be sundown tomorrow morning our time here in Australia, which will be the evening for the brothers there. So basically this evening I wanted to tap into 2 videos that I found very intriguing and very important to, spread to the Akim, the brotherhood, and also you few sisters listening and watching. And basically this is going into the preconditioning for Jacob's trouble. So what you have to understand is, in these last days, the Most High is allowing Esau's system to tighten its grip on the earth in preparation for Jacob's trouble, all right, which is pursuing to Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7. And one of the clearest signs is what you're about to see is the US 287G program, all right, which we're going to tackle within this lesson, all right. And this specific program deputizes local police to act as ICE agents. Okay. So as we get into this lesson, I'm going to play 2 videos, and I've also got an article to back this up. All right. To show you what's really going on. Okay. Which is why I've entitled this lesson, ISHASHWA, which is the ancient Paleo Hebrew for the name of Esau, 287G program, a crafty counsel to persecute YASHARAHLA. All right. And so, as the beloved elder apostle Tahar has been telling us as of recently, we have to start speaking in code. Let not your left hand know what your right hand is doing. All right. So without further ado, let me stop babbling and let's get into the lesson. Let's play this clip. Lord's will, you can hear it.
Shocking escalation of ICE tactics against the residents of Chicago. In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the city's south side. They pulled dozens of residents from their homes and zip ties, including children, some of them without any clothes. They then held some outside for hours and dragged the others into rented vans.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face.
Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner. Because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
They zip-tied the kids together. ICE put out a statement saying they were pursuing Trinidad gang members, but U.S. citizens living in the building say they were detained too. The cops told them that if they had any unrelated warrants, they wouldn't be going back home. 37 people were ultimately arrested after agents separated children from their parents on the street. And if you're looking at this and asking yourself, how is this legal? That is the right question to ask. Supreme Court, and lo and behold, last month, the court's 6-3 conservative majority voted to just let Trump and ICE continue for now as the case works its way up to use racial profiling in their immigration raids, halting the lower court's decision, saying, go ahead. Now, they gave no reasoning or explanation for their decision, silent, except Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who wrote a short concurring opinion saying there's absolutely no problem whatsoever with racially motivated stops by law enforcement. Quote,
and the reason being, the reason why, ISHASHWA is saying that is because, as we told you, Jake, all right, first, they was going to come down after the Northern Kingdom, which is you so-called Native Americans and Latinos, all right, Venezuelans, all right, Cubans, which makes up the tribe of Manasseh, all right, Naphtali, Asher, okay, all of you Northern Kingdom tribes. And now look, they went to Portland and they also went to Chicago, and now they're targeting the Southern Kingdom, which is you so-called blacks. All right. So the prophets, beginning with the apostles, the bishops, the elders on down, it's not a surprise to us because we understand this through prophecy. All right. And when we say we understand it through prophecy, notice they're not going after any other ethnicity other than our people. So again, this is a preconditioning, all right, to Jacob's trouble, which is going to lead to martial law, which is going to lead to insurrection coming against the Lord's people, starting with the elect. All right.
if the officers learn the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the U.S., they promptly let the individual go. Welcome to the era of what critics call the Kavanaugh stop. Carte blanche for ICE to continue violent, warrantless raids and stops all over the country to undocumented immigrants, lawful residents, and American citizens alike. Like Leonardo Garcia Venegas. You see him there, being cuffed roughly by ICE agents on a construction site where he was working. Vargas showed the agents his real ID as proof of citizenship, and they told him he was lying. And it took hours to get him out of custody, so not exactly expeditious. And then, get this, 2 weeks later, ICE arrested him again at another work site. He's now suing the government. You know, there's a reason the American founders put the right to be free from unlawful searches and seizures in the Bill of Rights from the start. Masked secret police profiling people and now targeting entire apartment buildings, making everyone prove they're not guilty of something, is the province of tyrants. It is the opposite of American. And I don't think Americans will stand for it, nor should they.
Right. All right. So that's part one. Okay. Again, that's part one. So now we're going to move to part two. All right. So you can get a better understanding to what ISHASHWA is actually doing to Jake. Okay. And what they just passed. Okay. Within their crafty counsel. All right. The unrighteous decree. All right. Now let's view this.
Immigration enforcement isn't just federal anymore. Local police are in on it too. On October 1st, the 287G program was rolled out, authorizing ICE to deputize local police to enforce federal immigration law. Today, more than 500 agencies in 35 states are part of the program. In addition to immigration enforcement training, such as immigration law, multicultural communication, and avoiding racial profiling, police agencies may receive extra funding from the federal government. That means local cops could be financially incentivized to act as ICE. The program operates in three ways: jail enforcement, where officers flag immigrants already in custody; task force, where they share information with ICE during stops or checkpoints; and warrant service, where officers are trained to execute ICE administrative warrants for migrants in custody. Supporters of the program claim this strengthens public safety. However, critics say it erodes trust in immigrant communities. That's why cities with sanctuary policies are pushing back. In Boston, when Police Commissioner Michael Cox noted his agency can't enforce immigration law, Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, threatened to bring hell to the city.
I'm coming to Boston, I'm bringing hell with me.
Days later, ICE arrested more than 300 people in Massachusetts. Studies show that immigration status can be a barrier to calling the police. So what does it mean for immigrant rights and community trust when your local cop is also acting as ICE? Let us know in the comments.
All right. So, hey, we told you this was going to happen. Now, to bring you brothers and sisters on the service level, all right, this policy, all right, known as the 287G program, all right, this policy allows local law enforcement to basically detain and question immigrants. They also are granted the permission to share data with federal agencies and also target entire neighborhoods under immigration enforcement. So what appears to be law and order on the surface is actually, when you deal with biblical prophecy, oppression, okay? A governmental net forming around the children of YASHARAHLA, okay? Which is you so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. You see? So that brings me to my next point. All right, which let me come over here. Let me take this down. Let me move this. All right, so this is I found this article on ACLU, all right, news and commentary, and it's known as the all right, the title, How Expanded 287G Program Turns Local Police into the Deportation Agents. All right, so we're just going to have a quick breeze through this. It says the Trump administration has expanded the controversial program to harm more communities than ever. Families and advocates nationwide are fighting back. The Trump administration is quietly using a program called 287G to turn local police and sheriff's departments into arms of its deportation machine. And like, you know, among many other brethren, myself included, we've all been saying that this ICE troops, right, that are disguising themselves, wearing face masks, covering their face and everything, and coming into these cities that Trump has allowed for them to come into. Basically, they're just a cover up for martial law. Okay. And what Esau is doing is, on the left hand side, he's using crafty counsel by using this 287G program policy to turn local law officers into ICE agents. So 911, as you all know, okay, that's going to go out the window. You're not going to be able to call 911. Imagine you calling 911, all right, and they show at your door, you thinking they finna help you, and then in response, they actually arrest you because you look the part, racial profiling. All right, so we're here, man. Jacob's trouble is here. Coming back to this, it says, this week, the Trump administration hit a milestone of 1,000 participating state and local agencies. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is aggressively recruiting for this deportation collaboration program. It is now offering cash to local police in exchange for locating our immigrant neighbors as it attempts to reach a level of deportations never before seen in our nation's history. President DJ Trump campaigned on a promise to remove 20 million people from the country. That's 5.8% of our population. Keep in mind, when they say 20 million people, you also have to take into account that's really going into our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. And they ain't talking about just removing you out of the country to go live elsewhere. If you've been keeping up with what's been going on with the Northern Kingdom a couple of months ago, they have been boarding planes, and some planes were meant to go to the continent of Africa, right? But then people who have been working for the agency saying that they've been taking detours and quote unquote, allegedly, they have been dumping over passengers over some ocean. All right. And that's been going all over on TikTok, man. Okay. And then also you have Alligator Alcatraz, Let's not forget about that. Okay, so we're here at the door, right? Again, getting back into it. Let me read this again. It says, President DJ Trump campaign on the promise to remove 20 million people from the country. That's 5.8% of our population. This ambitious project, most visible in the mass deportation squads that are smashing car windows, forcing people into black vans, is likely to grow even more nefarious as ICE leeches onto local police to help it. So it's about to get worse. And we've been telling you, 911, you're going to pick up that phone and try to dial 911, and it's just going to ring out. Ain't going to be no help coming. And if it does come, it's coming to pretty much seize you, man. Okay, this is Second Esdras chapters 15 and 16 all day, jumping off the pages, right? It says how local police become deportation assistants. The 287G program is set of partnerships between U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and state and local agencies that effectively turn local officials into ICE agents, authorizing selected officers to identify, arrest, and process certain people for immigration enforcement and ultimately deportation. The local law enforcement participating in the 287G program are redeployed from local public safety matters to be an ICE force multiplier. This could include interrogating anyone they believe to be a non-citizen about their right to be in the country and asking for their citizenship papers. And ultimately, if you're smart, you know the situation that's going on over there in United Kingdom, how Prime Minister Starmer, on the way that they forced it was they introduced what's called the Brits card. Right now, if we have a look at this real quick, if we type in United Kingdom, all right, and I'm doing this on the fly, Brits card, digital ID. All right. Let me see here. If we find, we'll just choose this one. All right. New digital ID scheme to be rolled out across UK. A new digital ID scheme will help combat illegal working while making it easier for the vast majority of people to use vital government services. Digital ID will be mandatory for right to work checks by the end of Parliament. You have to ask yourself, because when you look at the UK's situation, remember, they too got a vast amount of immigrants. And so what they're trying to push is, oh, well, you have illegal workers. You are these immigrants coming in and they're working illegal. So how do we control this? We're going to enter in the Brits card, which is the digital ID system. The same way, when we come back over here, this is what this is leading to, the 287 program, because it gives the U.S. government the whole idea to target and antagonize every single neighborhood, right? And share data, okay? And that's going to lead to them bringing in what's called the real ID. Okay, now if we come back and we look up the U.S., let me see here, the U.S. real ID card. All right. It says a U.S. real ID is a state issued driver's license or identification card that meets federal security standards established by the Real ID Act. The key part here is federal security standards, the same federal security standard that is ran or supported by the ICE, or not supported, but they support the ICE. And now through this 287 program, they are also supporting the local officers. So what do you think they're going to do when they have this power? This is what's coming. Okay. This 287 program is just another building block to Esau's one world government. It says These enhanced IDs require more documentation. That's key to obtain and are needed to board domestic flights and enter certain federal facilities starting May 7, 2025. They've already begun to roll this out, as they are more difficult to forge and are federally accepted for identification purposes. So how much more for illegal immigrants? You see? How much more? The writing is on the wall. You just have to read between the lines. And the thing is, every country, they have their own plan and set up on how they're going to introduce this digital system. All right. But just to get back to the topic at hand, coming back here, it says this program could include interrogating anyone they believe to be a non-citizen about their right to be in the country and asking for their citizenship papers. It could mean that local jails continue to hold people. Okay, so, you know, detention centers, they call it, or we know they also going to implement concentration camps. Okay, it says grandparents, caretakers, and other longtime residents who lack legal status beyond when they would otherwise be released after a minor infraction or posting bail until ICE comes to take them away. Local police officers become secretaries for ICE, doing paperwork and helping process people for deportations. It says many law enforcement leaders oppose 287G because it is a drain on local resources. It not only wastes police officers' time, it also has led to costly lawsuits for constitutional rights violations, including wrongly holding U.S. citizens. Numerous studies show that this program hurts public safety. People are less likely to come forward to seek police protection. Did not I say that 911 is about to go right out the door? I did a video a day or two ago about how you have Americans now seeking asylum here in Australia, Canada, and the UK. Why is that? Why is that? So when it says that people are likely to come forward to seek police protection because now things have gotten total chaotic, when they know calling 911 could result in their family member or friend being deported, did I not just say that? You see? Like my man Kevin Samuel says, you know, winter is coming, ladies. Okay, winter is coming. So it says at the end of Barack Obama's administration, there were just 32 participating state and local law enforcement agencies that leaped to 152 in Trump's first term. And the administration removed guardrails like expiration dates for participation agreements. Joe Biden's administration left the program largely intact, refusing to kick out participating law enforcement agencies with records of racial profiling, anti-immigrant Salakia abuse, despite calls from the ACLU and our partners. Now, in just 8 months of the second Trump administration, the number of local agencies opting to act as deportation force multipliers has grown by 600%. The program has encroached into states that until now have few or no participating agencies, such as Iowa, Maine, New Mexico, Utah, West Virginia. Congress first authorized 287G in 1996, permitting the federal government to delegate certain federal immigration enforcement responsibilities to designate or designated state and local officers, subject to training and close supervision by federal officials. Now, just as Trump administration has moved to exploit other longstanding legal authorities, it has gone far beyond what Congress intended and morphed this program into a larger cannibalizing force, the full implications of which we have yet to see. And it's only going to get worse from here on out. All right, it's going to get worse from here on out. It says in the coming months, we expect ICE to tap local police to join its multi-agency mass deportation squads across the country. Already in April, ICE boasted a first of its kind statewide operation. All right. And again, this is crafty counsel. ICE is just a cover up of martial law. Okay. And if you can't see it, then the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shah, evidently is not dealing with you. It says involving ICE and more than a dozen sheriff's offices, the state of Florida, the FBI, and other federal agencies, blurring law enforcement agencies into a single unaccountable deportation force is a recipe for civil rights abuses and government waste, which is, this is what they want. They want to rise out of the people. Problem, reaction, solution. The problem is people are coming up against the government, which that goes into 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, sedition among men. Okay, not respecting their local governments and whatnot. So that's going to cause an insurrection. That's going to cause civil war. And the scriptures speak about that. Okay, apparatus, I will be able to get that. But it says also, let me get back here, Salakia. It says, why does this keep on popping up? It says, ICE has also illegally relied on 287G to detain people at the notorious Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center, a hastily constructed facility in the middle of Florida Everglades, which is surrounded by alligators, snakes, mosquitoes, and swampland. And the ACLU and our partners recently filed a lawsuit on behalf of people detained there. And ICE has also penned agreements with the state National Guards in Texas, Florida, and West Virginia. It has tapped campus police departments and even agencies that are not law enforcement oriented, like the Florida Department of Lottery Services. So at the end of the day, that just tells me the kingdom is divided. All right, because now you have other, as I said, they reached out to other officers, but other non-enforcement, to tap in to help with this. And you're going to have, the country is going to be divided, man. And this ultimately, this is going to spill over into civil war. You can see it. All right. So this place is done. It's out of here. All right. So it just goes into the communities are fighting back and stuff. And again, this is leading to, as I said before, a civil war. Right. So let me see. Let me see if I got this. Yeah. So basically, let's come over here and wait for my tab to pull up here. Salakia. All right. So, got a few precepts going into this real quick. I just wanted to build it up and show you the videos and give you the articles. So, of course, we know Jeremiah 30:7 says, for at last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Right. So what you have to understand is this prophecy describes a time of unprecedented distress for the descendants of Jacob. Okay. Captivity, persecution, government oppression. Okay. And all of this has to come before deliverance. All right. Because remember, all right, let me get another tab open here real quick. Let's get the book of Acts. What's that? Acts 14 and 22. And it reads, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of the Most High. So we have to go through this tribulation. Part of this tribulation is Salakia being tested. Okay. We are now in the build up to that time. All right. And ISHASHWA governments are laying down the legal infrastructure to detain, track, and control the population, especially you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. We have been telling you this constantly. Okay. Next precept, Psalms 83 verses 3 and 4. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against the hidden ones. And who is the hidden ones? The Israelites. And why are we considered hidden? Because remember, all right, when we lost our identity pursuant to Jeremiah 17 and 4, okay, the nations, they know who we are, but we didn't know who we are. All right. And the elites, they spent millions of dollars trying to cover up that information. All right. That's the reason why they'll use, the people in the Holy Land um, as a means. When you speak about them, they'll give the anti-S word, right? But as soon as we speak about us and Israelites or whatever, they'll do everything else to try to shut that down, all right, by sending people against us, infiltration, whatever the case may be, okay? Or they'll send in people to play on words with, giving heed to doctrines of men, distorting the true gospel of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, anything that they can do to upset prophecy at the end of the day. All right. So Genesis 27:41, because this ties into all of this, which is the reason why they are taking crafty counsel against us. And before I read this, let me continue to read this on in Psalms 83:4. It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And this is what they're trying to do. That's why he's hiding behind his 287G program. Because for you to sit there and to give cash to local officers to be trained up and to also be ICE agents, all right, ultimately, like I said, this is leading into martial law. All right. And this goes back to Genesis 27:41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So Esau is using 287G program as a disguise to get ready to heavily move in and persecute, all right, YASHARAHLA. Okay. And this 287G program, again, is crafty counsel, all right, hidden behind legal jargon, all right, but spiritually designed to target Israelite communities, especially the Northern Kingdom. Okay. And what? Through immigration raids and deportation. So, this is Esau's hatred for Jacob manifesting through governmental control, data collection, and militarized policing. Okay. It's written all over. Right. So next precept, Isaiah 10:1-2, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. So these decrees, which, policies and laws like this one here, 287G, policy, pretty much are written to legally justify oppression. That's really what it is. All right. Just as, slavery was legalized, the Jim Crow, all right, was legalized. And, now deportation, profiling, surveillance is all being legalized. All of it. So what you got to understand, dealing with this devil, is the same playbook, but now cloaked under immigration reform and national security. I'm going to say it again. It's the same playbook, but now cloaked under immigration reform and national security. All right. Same devil, but new tricks. Right. Revelation 13:16-17. And he calls a thal, both in small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the charagma, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now, before the MOTB, all right, which is the RFID micro C hip, all right, to anybody new watching this, all right, before the MOTB system can be enforced, ISHASHWA, which is the Paleo Hebrew name for Esau, must build an infrastructure of control. Okay. And that's what they're doing right before our very eyes. What does that look like on a surface level? Number one, you have surveillance databases. You have centralized law enforcement. You have tracking systems, which includes biometrics, IDs, digital currency. And then you have legal justification to detain and isolate citizens, which is what's currently going on right now. So this 287 program right here, okay, this bad boy right here, okay, is a component of that infrastructure. And what it's doing is it's completely merging federal and local enforcement, training officers to operate under a nationalized police state. Okay, and this is what they want pertaining to their new world order. It's plain as day. This truly is preparation for martial law during Jacob's trouble. It's right before our very eyes. We are here. Okay, let's get another precept. This is Second Esdras chapter 16, verse 70. For there should be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Shai, and they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. You see? So what this is describing is a time when government forces, local, state, and federal, they're going to turn on the people, especially those who fear the Most High. We haven't seen nothing yet from this devil. Okay, your ICE raids and local police cooperation are what I like to call, they're just test runs of obedience and aggression. Okay, test runs of obedience and aggression. And soon these same forces will be mobilized during Jacob's trouble. Okay, they're going to be hunting, you that believe in the word, and forcing order, moving in madman fashion, the flood, as mentioned in Isaiah the 59th chapter. Okay, so you have to understand the times that we're in. Coming back over here, Habakkuk 2:12, it says, woe to him that builded a town with blood and established a city by iniquity. And that's how they got America, right? Also, Nahum 3:1-3. Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip and the noise of a rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. And that's likened today unto what? Esau's, military tanks on the roads, which represents their chariots, their SUVs coming in SWAT style, National Guards, all of that. Okay. That's why the scripture says that which is then is now, and there is no new thing under the sun. It says the horseman lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear. And there is a multitude of slain and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpse. They stumble upon their corpse. So again, this American system is built on blood and maintained by deception. And programs like this here, all right, the 287G program, are digital and legal chains. That's all it is. And Esau's modern version of captivity using data instead of shackles. So that's why I get a kick out of when people say, you ask Jake right now, Jake, are you in slavery? Hell no, I ain't no slavery, man. I'm free. I can move around. I got Roscoe chicken. I can go to Chick-fil-A. I can do this. I can buy Jordans. Jake just, like the Heavenly Father says, people is sottish children. When you look at the word sottish, it means stupid. All right. And what Jake doesn't understand is our people, they're entering in a phase where your status, ID, and compliance will simply determine your freedom, all leading toward the MOTB enforcement. That's what you don't see. You see what I'm saying? And this is why the servants, the prophets, are here to give you the warning. We're here to give you the warning. All right. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there should be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. which is talking about the elect. Okay. When you get also, let's get Psalms real quick. 34, verse 7. It says, the angel of Yahweh encampeth round about them that fear him and delivereth him. So when Jacob's trouble reaches its peak, which is what we're currently waiting for, as these policies transform into persecution, that's when Yahweh and the angels will intervene for the elect. All right. So while Esau builds his system, what we should be doing right now is building up our faith. That's what we should be doing right now. Because like Elder Yashawamba stated, when the time comes when you're going to have to fully step away from this society, when this man mandates the CHIP, you're going to have to step out on some unbelievable faith, because that's all you want to have in these last days. Isaiah 33:6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, the strength of salvation. You see what I'm saying? So to pretty much, sum this all up, and we'll close out. Let's get one more precept. Coming back to this. All right, I'm gonna continue to read down verse 72. For they shall waste. Let me share the tab. Salakia. 2nd Esdras 16:72. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide. All right. And a guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord power. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. So we got to stay spiritually ready and not fearful. All right. And the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai, is revealing, okay, he's revealing Esau's plans so the elect can discern the times, warn the flock, and prepare in faith. All right. And, that's what we're doing. Abarat is out to the best of our ability. All right. And so that's pretty much it. That concludes the lesson. I just wanted to, inform you, Akim and Akwaf, that are listening and learning of what's really going on, and how Esau's 287 program is none other than a crafty counsel to persecute YASHARAHLA. All right. So, I'm going to leave it off there. I pray that this lesson was edifying, straight to the point. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor be to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, better known as GMS, who were well, peace, and salutations unto the hopeful elect, the tabernacle of David, beginning with the 144,000 and the rest of the men and women and children out of the 12 tribes whom Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai will ultimately have mercy upon. Right. Again, I'm your brother Montezabaf, residing from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Melbourne, Australia. And Lord's will, Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai destroyed this place yesterday. All right. So with that, shalom.